I'd like to call to order the July 22nd meeting of the Shelby Township Planning Commission. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dallo? Absent. Ms. DeSico?
Here.
Ms. Boutros? Here. Mr. Meredith?
Here.
Mr. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Apone?
Here.
Mr. Flynn?
Here.
Chairman Moffett, we have a quorum.
Great. First item is approve the agenda. If there
So
are no
moved.
Support.
corrections, moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next, approve the minutes from the July 8th meeting.
So move.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. This evening, we have 6 items. The first being a site plan number 19-26, Zeph Gojay, Nick's Country Oven. Okay, you can come on up. We missed you at the last meeting.
Good evening, how are you?
Good.
Good,
If I get name and address, and then just briefly what your,
My name is Zev Goychay. I own Nick's Country Oven on 23 and a half Van Dyke.
okay, and speak into the microphone, please.
My name is Zev Goychay. I own Nick's Country Oven on 23 and Van Dyke. My address is 51990 on Van Dyke, sorry.
Okay.
My name's Dan Waters. I'm Waters and Associate Architect to design the facade renovation for Nick's Country Oven.
Do you want to briefly describe
Yep.
what it is what are you changing, what do you add? and
Absolutely. So basically, it's just a simple facade. We're going to add a canopy to the other side of the building. We're going to use cultured stone, paint some existing brick, and then add a new facade to the entire face. Face would be the north face and the west-facing side of the building. So, again, it'll be a great improvement over what's there now.
Okay. Ask the planner for her report, or
Nick listed that.
Nick did, okay.
The facade improvements fit within the zoning regulations. I think it's a great way to improve the building, the existing land use.
You know, I believe there was a concern that there's been parking in the right-of-way. Am I correct in that?
Yes, historically, the restaurant's been using the road right-of-way along Southfield Drive as parking. So before we approve this plan, or before the planning commission approves the plan, you have to immediately halt parking in that right-of-way.
So you can't we put grass there like 5 years ago, but people still park there, you know.
You'll, signage will have to indicate somehow that they cannot park there.
Okay. I guess we just wanted to hear a commitment that you'll work with the township to thwart that, please. All right. To the board, any questions?
I do have one. So are you redoing the sod in the right-of-way?
I don't believe that was the plan. He planned it a while ago. What we could do is add signage that says no parking at any time.
Because it seems like the approach is just one piece, like the parking, the approach is all one wide gravel area, so it's hard to define where the approach is. When I visited the site, it was really confusing. So if you do the sod, and then put the parking, no parking sign, and then reconfigure the approach, I think that would be a good idea.
Agree, you're amenable to that? Okay, good. Any other questions? Hearing none, Mr. Apone, you have a motion?
Oh, sure. I move to approve site plan application number 19-26 for Zeph Goychay, located at 51990 Van Dyke Avenue, subject to the applicant halting parking along the Southfield Road right-of-way, or gaining approval from Macomb County.
Support.
Mr. Chairman, would the motion maker and seconder be willing to add language that halting parking is not the owner standing out there? We're talking signage, something about signage in the motion.
Signage and sodding that right-of-way area. To distinguish between the parking and.
Yes, that's
Yes,
fine.
that's
Getting
fine.
yes from both?
Yep.
I'm good.
All right. With the amended motion, if there are no others, Commissioner Pone,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Flynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith.
Yes.
Commissioner Boutros.
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Next item is site plan number 19-27, Maria D'Agostini, CPD Properties.
Good evening. Maria D'Agostini and James DeRocher here on behalf of CPD Properties, 38700 Van Dyke, Suite 200, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48312. Tonight, Mr. DeRocher is going to be presenting a development we have in the D'Agostini sub.
As Maria said, I'm James DeRocher. We're here presenting the spec building 16 on the corner of Celeste and Teresa Drive. The lot is currently 2.11 acres, zoned LM. We're proposing to build 37,355 square foot industrial building consisting of 31,805 square feet of shop with 5,550 square feet of single-story conjoining office.
Okay. To the planner?
This site is zoned LM for light manufacturing, so the use fits within the zoning district. However, there are a few concerns with the site plan I'd like to bring your attention. So there's a few things you have to indicate in the site plan as far as benchmarks, easements, and drain improvements that you plan to include in the property. And I also want you to note on your plans that there will be no outdoor storage, no roof-mounted equipment, or if there is roof-mounted equipment, it'll be screened. Also, I want you to know that the maximum allowed mounting height for outdoor lighting in this district is 20 feet. The site plan indicates 24 feet, so it'll have to be adjusted. And for the monument sign, you'll have to submit a separate application.
Understood.
Okay, those are all, you're all accepting of those comments?
Correct.
Okay. To the board, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question.
Mr. Turner?
Mrs. D'Agostini, I'm looking at two documents. One says GSL Holdings LLC. The other one is CPD Properties Incorporated. Is there a typo on one of these, or are they the same?
Not having the documents that you're looking at, CPD Properties and GSL Holdings are both businesses owned by Mr. D'Agostini, Gene D'Agostini. So there could have been a typo in some of the documents. I'm not familiar with what you're looking at.
So I'm just, my question, I guess, to the attorney, we would make the motion if this were approved, not GSL Holdings, CPD Properties, is that correct?
CPD Properties is the title owner of this
Okay, thank you.
parcel.
Any other questions?
I just have one question. The project sign seems like within the 12-foot water main easement or 14-foot water main easement. Can we move it further to the east and keep it outside the easement?
That should be no issue.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Turner?
move to approve site plan number 19-27 from Maria D'Agostini, CPD Properties, Celeste Drive, parcel number 23-07-13-300-031, subject to the submission of a revised site plan addressing all department and engineering comments.
Support.
Moved by Turner, support by Apone. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Apone?
Yes.
Commissioner Flynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith? Yes. Commissioner Boutros?
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Next, we have two requests on the same parcels. Rezoning petition number 06-19 and site plan number 19-21 PUD number 1. It is a public hearing, so I'll ask the secretary to read the notice as it was published.
Charter Township of Shelby, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission for the Charter Township of Shelby, Macomb County, Michigan, has received a request for approval of the following amendment to the zoning map. Applicant Loy Casuhan, Shelby Shore Lane, 4429 Turmeric, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48314. Conditional rezoning request from R1B, one-family residential, to R1C, one-family residential. The rezoning application includes a site plan for a single-family residential development, 14 units. Location, 46540 Ryan Road, parcel number 23-07-32-151-011, 46500 Ryan Road, parcel number 23-07-32 23-151-012 and parcel number 23-07-32-151-013. Sidwell number 23-07-32-151-011, 23-07-32-151-012, and 23-07-32-151-013. Legal descriptions are as follows. The Planning Commission will meet on Monday, July 22nd, 2019, at 7 p.m. in the Shelby Municipal Building, 52700 Van Dyke, Shelby Township, Michigan, 586-726-7243, for the purpose of holding a public hearing in this conditional rezoning application. The application for rezoning, zoning ordinance text, and zoning map may be examined at the Planning and Zoning Department in the municipal building Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Written comments may be submitted to the Planning Commission at the above address prior to the hearing. Oral comments will be heard during the public hearing. The notice is provided pursuant to the requirements of Michigan Public Act 110 of 2006 as amended. Shelby Township Planning Commission, Jerome Moffett, Chair, Raquel Morris, Secretary. This was published in the Shelby Utica News on July 3rd, 2019. There were 39 property owners, 2 applicants, and 9 utilities were notified by first-class mail on June 28, 2019.
Thank you. Ms. Denowith, did the publication meet all legal requirements?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Moore, did we receive correspondence on this?
We
item?
did, Mr. Chair. We received one piece of correspondence from a Susan Ware. She lives on Branford Drive. She basically is against the rezoning request. She has some issues regarding who is the actual owner and possibly back taxes that are owed.
Okay, thank you. Again, the entire board did receive that letter, so we've reviewed all those issues. Format for the public hearing is as follows. The petitioner will come up, state what they're requesting, their reasons for it. Then I'll come back to the board. We'll ask questions of the petitioner. I'll then open up the public hearing, so anyone in the audience can offer their opinion, can ask any questions to the board. I'll take the questions down. I'll then, after all comments have been received, bring the petitioner up and ask them those questions. So we have an informed decision when we make our recommendation. Okay, it's not a debate. It's not, we don't get into arguments here. And with that, I'll ask the petitioner to come up. If you do speak, I'll need your name and address, and then after you've spoken, to sign in on the sign-in sheet on the table.
Good evening. I'm Frank Hanna with Jenny Civil Engineering. I'm the design engineer. Address 18832 Rosewood Drive, Macomb Township, Michigan.
Okay?
Basically, we are trying to propose 14 units of condos on this project. Several parcels. We propose in water main and in the green belt. We have a 10-foot wide green belt along the north property line, which abuts to residential homes north of us. And we have proposing some green area as well on the west side of the condos, which leads to the approach to the project on Ryan Road, on the east side of Ryan Road. And there's an existing house which belongs to the same owner on this house and the proposed property, Mr. Lloyd. And we propose a detention basin, and it's going to outlet to the subdivision to the east. There is a mitigation area, and we coordinated that with the city engineer, or township engineer, sorry.
So you're not tying into the stub street?
No, sir, because I contacted the road commission, and they said the condition for the roads north of us is not very good, and they don't want any construction traffic to go there. Initially, we did have connected to it, and Mr. Robert Bush with the road commission advised me not to do that.
Can you explain why this can't be built as zoned?
Because if we go with the current rezoning, we only going to get probably 8 lots, and it's not going to be profitable to develop the project. Money-wise, it's not going to come up with the, bringing the sewer to the project and the paving and road is not going to.
See, to be honest with you, profitability isn't like high, at least on my list of, you know, how I would make a decision to change something from how it's been zoned for a long time, how many of the neighborhoods surrounding that property are currently zoned.
With any project, you're going to make a profit, otherwise why would you develop it?
Well,
You know, might as well just sit on it or don't buy the property.
yeah. Or you purchase the property, you know, you purchase the property to the south and, you know, if you're.
We tried.
Okay.
We tried to buy the piece of land to the south of us, and weren't successful with it.
Yeah. So again, I don't know that's a terribly compelling reason is that, you know,
We
you're-
are
you were
really
unsuccessful.
proposing, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but we
So-
are really proposing very nice homes. They are, like the buildable area is about 3,000. We're not gonna, that's just the footprint, and if you want a colonia, it could go up to 4,000. So we are improving the whole neighborhood.
Do you have some proposed,
House, what?
yeah, elevations on this?
No,
You're
we
saying
didn't,
you could put a 3,000 square foot footprint on those?
yes. But we not, I mean, unless somebody want a ranch, but if you want a colonia, probably not gonna build more than 4,000 square foot because like the area, it's gonna cost too much money.
So you have no, how about impact on the infrastructure there? Have you driven Ryan Road? I drive right, so.
You, for the road, for example.
And don't get me wrong, I love development in that area of the township. I think, you know, and there are some nice projects that are coming. But they have to fit the area.
We believe it's gonna give good plus to the area because such nice homes gonna be there and the development's gonna be very nice. You have some parking, park area, and you have the detention there. So we're not gonna contribute any negative thing for the storm sewer system. That's number one. We bring in the water along the north property line and we can loop the water towards the subdivision to the north. The sanitary sewer, we're gonna actually extend it from the project to the south about 300 feet to the north. So that is all pluses. In addition to providing a bypass on the west side of Ryan Road and tapers acceleration, deceleration lane on the east side of Ryan. So I think it's all,
So how much parking is each one of those houses gonna have?
I'm sorry,
How long is the driveway gonna be?
the driveway?
So I look at that and I think it's just too much in a very small area. And frankly, you're putting a road 10 feet from, you know, I imagine a majority of the people here's backyard. You know, so to me, there'd have to be a compelling reason to want to impose that much on somebody. And now you're likely, you know, you're gonna get probably two-car garage.
Yes.
And maybe two cars in the parking lot. So if there's, you know, anyone has any kind of function, they're all gonna be parked likely in their backyards or pretty darn close to it.
They should have two-car garage, these homes.
No, I get that.
So you
know,
don't
just
need
saying,
to park on the roadway.
Well, but they will.
I mean, average homes, they would have two
And there are,
cars.
yeah, I mean, frankly, there are developments similar to this, with frankly larger lots and more space between, and there's still issues. And if, you know, you can drive up and down Shaner, and there are a couple of them there that have a lot more room than this one does, and that I would question. So, I mean, those are kind of just some of my concerns. And I guess if you had some compelling argument, I'm happy to listen. But I'm a bit I'm not perplexed because I understand your client wants to make money, and you know, and this is the best way they see to do it. But you know, our role as representatives of the community is to sort of balance
It's not
out
just take the money.
your client's ability to use his or her land versus, you know, what's appropriate for the township. With that, I'll ask my colleagues here with the.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman?
Chairman, yeah, I would just mirror what you said. I mean, if it made sense for the area in terms of a fit, but not building it R1B because your client won't make money is incredibly not compelling. I mean, why not come in and ask for a high-rise apartment complex? You'd make more money with that, too. So you saying that you're not going to make money as zoned is not resonating with me at all. I mean, and the plan is incredibly pedestrian. I mean, there's nothing creative about it at all. And the road is right in these people's backyard. And there are similar subs, I call it a pocket sub up and down 24 and on Shaner, and they've gotten a lot more creative with the parking and the access. And yeah, I'd say this is a back to the drawing board kind of plan in my eyes.
Okay. Mr. Turner, were you to
Now,
comment?
you talked about driving Ryan Road. I come from Livonia, and it took me about 35 minutes to get from Livonia to West Utica and Ryan, and 20 minutes to get from Ryan to Auburn. So I drive it every day, and it's a mess. Have you done any surveying on this property to see how much wetlands are on the site?
No, we have not done a wetland study
You're-
on it.
My understanding is there's a significant amount of wetlands on the site, and you want to take those away and give a 10-foot wide green belt. That doesn't seem like a very even exchange to me. And when we hear of filling in wetlands to develop it on, we've had that issue come up once before us here recently, and I've been opposed to that because, again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Echoing what was said earlier about the profitability, I shake my head when I hear we're not going to make enough money. As Mr. Flynn said, that's not compelling enough. That's not a hardship that we have to worry about. It's something that you have to understand when you buy the property. You've not made a compelling argument that it cannot be developed R1B. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Any other?
I do have comments. So I did check the wetland inventory map. It seems like majority of the site is in wetland, has wetlands in it. And my question to you, have you tried to set up a meeting with MDEQ and ask them if you can impact that much
No.
of wetland?
No, we did not, and I checked the GIS system, doesn't show any wetland on the project.
Check Macomb GIS and you'll see majority of it is wetland. And then if you're exceeding third of an acre, that's an issue with MDQ, so probably is not buildable.
I didn't see any wetland on the GIS system, and
I've got a
did.
copy of it here. You're welcome to it.
okay.
Everything in green is wetland.
My other comment, the cul-de-sac seems too small. It should be.
I'm sorry?
The cul-de-sac seems too small. The radius, it should be 44 to provide a good turning radius for vehicles or trucks accessing that drive. I think the way you have it is 30 feet, so it's too narrow. If you provide easement for the private drive, it's going to be at least 60-foot easement. The building is only 2 feet from that easement line, which is way too tight. If you provide sidewalks along the private drive, no cars can park in the driveway because you'll be blocking the sidewalks because it's only 20 foot from the building to the back of the curb.
Can you please repeat the last thing?
The sidewalks, if you provide sidewalks along the driveway,
Yes.
you cannot park any vehicles in the driveways because you'll be blocking those sidewalks. So basically, it's just too narrow and too small, what you're proposing. That's all I have.
And you can allow one side of the road parking, one side parking only. I seen a lot of development in Shelby Township with condominium, and it's one not far from here. It's on north of 20 Mile Road on the east side of Ryan, on Irma Drive.
Okay, we'll tell you, we're addressing this project, okay, and
Yeah.
how you're trying to shoehorn the development into a very small, inappropriate piece of property. So,
That's all I have.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to agree with what was already said, that the argument for rezoning just, it's not compelling enough, and I would just echo what everyone's already said.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and then, the site plan submission seems inappropriate as well, given that over half of the properties in wetlands. And you haven't shown on there how you're gonna mitigate that? Or you haven't even talked to the DEQ about, how you're gonna address those issues?
No, we did not talk to the DEQ, and before we started the project, I checked with the township engineer, and they confirmed to me there is no wetland on the project.
Can I say one thing? There is a comment from the township engineer about the wetland. And then if you have a site with that much wetland within the site, you need to have pre-application meeting with MDEQ
Yes.
before you do any layouts,
Right.
because they're probably gonna turn you down.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Should have brought your client with you. They could have take some of the heat. Hang on a second. Are you the client? You want to come on up? If you want to talk to the rest of the body, come on up and, no, not from the audience. If you want to talk, you need to come up to the podium. That's all right.
Hi, everybody. I'm his son, and the reason he's not here, he's in the hospital. So he didn't purposely not
No,
be here.
I'm not, and this is, it's quite common that,
Yeah.
you know, the developers will send their engineer to do, but this one, you know, there are a lot of red flags, as you've heard, you know, from the board,
Yeah.
that cause, I think, it appears a majority of us, you know, pause before acting on this, so.
Okay, I just wanted you to know why
Okay.
he's not
What's
here.
What's your name?
My name is Brandon.
Benny?
Brandon.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brandon.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so, this is the only public hearing the planning commission will hold on this this rezoning request. Your remarks will be entered into the record for township board evaluation. Again, we're a recommending body. Ultimately, the township board will act on our recommendation for them. If you want to speak, you're welcome to come and speak and offer your comments. I would just need, like I said, name and address and then sign when you're on your way out.
My name's Michelle Benoit, and my husband Christopher and I live at 4058 Bramford.
Okay?
So we're the third house off Orion, and this property would be just directly right behind our fence. So we have the Bramford that we live on. We have Ryan Road, which is horrendously loud, trafficy. And then they're proposing to put this street right behind us. So you're going to make us an island of just, you know, it's so loud there now and so trafficy now. You know, our privacy would be disrupted horribly, you know, so we would be so disappointed to see this go through.
Okay.
You know, it would be really upsetting to us. So that's, you know, that's what we want to say, is that we don't understand why they couldn't tie in to the, you know, we live on a dead-end street, but it's like a T at the end. I think it's called Glastonbury. Why they can't tie into that, I'm not, I
Well,
don't
actually, I
understand.
did ask that question, and
And the answer
well, you said,
didn't
yeah,
make any
that
sense.
somehow right, again,
Yeah.
but,
So for it to come, you know, right behind us without, you know, another, you know, row of houses with their yards buffering that, you know, it just seems, just too much. It just seems too much. So we just want to say we would be really disappointed and really upset if we saw that go through, so.
okay, thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Christian Fisher, and I own the property directly south of the proposed project. And I was contacted by a real estate agent at one point with a proposal. They wanted to buy all of my the east end of my property up to within about, I don't know, I think like 50 feet or something like that of my back of my house. Well, I found it ridiculous that I wasn't going to, without knowing what's going to be there, I didn't want to look at houses or whatever. I mean, I bought a 5-acre parcel in the 90s and built a 2,700 square foot home there. And I built according to the restrictions on the property by the Department of Natural Resources, which I have a copy of the letter. If you care to see that?
No.
Okay. Originally, there was a subdivision proposed for the 10 acres there, that property and my property. And it was rejected by the Department of Natural Resources due to the wetlands. And the Department of Natural Resources surveyed the property and provided detailed sketch of the wetlands in the area. Also, he discussed draining water to the north, runoff from the property. And right now, the way that Branford drains is Branford drains down.
Well, he's proposed a basin to the east of the property, at the east end.
Correct, a
yeah.
retention
Yeah.
pond. There is a part of Auburn Road and Ryan intersection drains down and is picked up by drainage ditches on both sides of Branford Drive. Those ditches come down to the east end, down to Glastonbury. One pipe comes under the road and continues onto the property they want to build on. Then it goes to the east. The pipe goes to the east, and there's an engineered trench that I was told by the former owner of my property was established by the Corps of Engineers. And I had a survey done, a topographical survey done of the property when I purchased it, and it shows this trench. This drains all the water, part of the intersection up there, and Branford, and into a ditch that runs south at the rear end of my property and the other properties south of me. And it's, you know, it's a not a very steep pitch, and I think it's meant as like, almost like a retention. I think where it ends, it goes into the body of water, the ponds and the river behind.
Okay.
But it looks like where he's putting his pond, it would interfere with all of that
Right.
infrastructure that's already there. Also, I mean, have these homes got basements, I mean, that they're proposing? I don't know. It's definitely wetlands. I've got a four-wheel drive John Deere tractor, and I got it stuck in the back of my property. Also, if they're going to put basements, they're going to do dewatering. I have a well. That's going to be the end of my well. I don't even think it's feasible to dewater, even if he's just going to build on slab, and he's going to have to dewater for the foundations. So,
Yeah, there's a long ways to go on this, so, but
Right.
your insights have been helpful. Thank you.
right, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Tell all your friends to watch on TV.
Hi.
Your name?
Vicki Kraus, 4315 Bramford. Sort of like what everybody was saying about the road, the conditions on Ryan, traffic being horrible there in the evening and in the day. I would like to see some improvement on Ryan Road. It's hard to get in and out of the street. People pass us in the dirt as we're making lefts. So just putting a street right down 100 feet, I don't even know how far it is, with another entrance to another street is going to be bad for us just to get in and out. My dad was rear-ended there, and he had to have, brain surgery. It's just a very traumatic area. It's busy. So just adding more traffic there is just not good. And then the other thing is, I know that they mentioned cul-de-sac right now and potentially hooking up Glastonbury to that. They were looking at that. We don't like the idea of that being hooked up to that street because of through traffic.
Well, they're not proposing to hook it up,
Yeah,
so.
I would never want to see that hooked up. I have autistic child, and I have an impaired child sign, and just the traffic we get alone with our cars right now, it's just trying to get the people to slow down. I'd hate to see people going through to get through to that street.
Okay.
So,
All right,
Just
thank
wanted
you.
to mention that. Thank you.
Can you please sign in?
Ma'am, would you sign in, please? Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Dean Foster. I live at 4332 Brantford Drive. My main concern is my privacy. 4,000 square foot home right behind my house. Okay, the water. Water runs through my basement all year round, whether it's freezing or hot. And when it rains, it runs all the way down our street, and I live at the end. Okay, and I'm just concerned about where that water's gonna go once they start shifting the land around and raising the property and taking out trees and the traffic. We have new apartments going in on Auburn Road at 4 Bears. Now you want 14 new homes. I don't like the idea. It's horrible over there as it is right now. So those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Make sure you sign in, please. Anyone else?
I'm Susan Ware at 4316 Brantford Drive. Just like everybody's been saying, just totally against it. Just don't want to see homes behind us, the trees gone, wildlife, traffic. I
Well,
mean,
there may be homes behind you.
I know, in
'Cause
time.
It's zoned to
In
build
time,
homes.
yeah, in
but
time.
it
It's just something that you
they're-
have to adapt and
right,
try to get
so.
used to, but it just right now it's hard to picture that and take that in, so,
Okay,
okay.
all right,
But thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Ronald Zintek, 4154 Brantford. I'm opposed to this just for the fact that zero consideration was taken for the people who live there now. If you're pinning our properties between two streets and they're talking about having all their cars in a driveway, you know they're not going to do that. They're going to be parking right in our backyard, basically, which, for that reason, I think we're all opposed to that. So I just want to make that comment today.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Going twice, 3 times? I'll bring it back to the board, to the planner. Your comments?
Okay, Chairman Moffett, I also had the same concerns as all the residents addressed and you as well. The one thing, the biggest thing was the physical constraints of the property as the wetlands, the physical features, and it's the narrowness, the road behind the residence. It's just not good design, planning design, especially with that cul-de-sac and not connecting with Glastonbury. Typically, we try to connect all the subdivisions for fire purposes, police purposes, and in this case, it wasn't. I would have to, verify that with Mr. Bush at Macomb County Road Commission to see if that was correct, and that's what they wanted to do. The master plan calls for moderate density in this area, and when we classify moderate density, it means basically cluster zoning to preserve natural features. Mr. Hanna presented this as a cluster zoning, and I don't see any natural features being enhanced here or preserved. Even though maybe the R1C could be correct for the zoning district, because when those properties to the north on Brantford would develop, they're pretty much 80-foot wide. That's what R1C was standard. However, this was brought in as a conditional plan, so we can't approve one or the other. So, I mean, like I said, it's just not a good design feature. It doesn't, it's not consistent with our master plan. There's significant challenges that exist with the site that I would recommend denial.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Our recommendation on this rezoning request must be based on the following: the practicality of this rezoning request and the effects on the surrounding area, the owner's right to use his land, do current growth and development patterns warrant this rezoning, and is the proposed rezoning in accordance with the master plan? At this point, we can recommend approval, we could disapprove it, or table it to evaluate further. At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Turner.
I move to recommend denial to the Township Board of conditional rezoning application number 6-19 and site plan number 19-22 for Loai Kashahanan from R1B, one-family residential, to R1C, one-family residential, based on the following reasons. The change in zoning is not consistent with the development pattern in the area. The change in zoning will adversely impact abutting residential development to the north. The site can be developed as zoned, and the proposed site plan is not consistent with the spirit, intent, or qualifications of the cluster housing development standards in the Shelby Township zoning ordinance.
Support.
Okay, moved by Turner, support by Moore. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Pone?
Yes.
Commissioner Flynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore, did I ask you?
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith?
Yes.
Commissioner Boutros?
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, thank you. Next item, site plan number 19-24, Lath Shaman, Leonardo Trucking. Now, this is also a public hearing, so I'll ask the secretary to read the notice.
Charter Township of Shelby, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission for the Charter Township of Shelby, Macomb County, Michigan, has received a request for approval of the following special land use. Applicant, Lath Shaman, Leonardo Trucking, 4820 Thorntree, West Bloomfield, Michigan, 48322. Proposed use, outdoor storage, truck parking. Location, 5022 Mile Road, south side of 22 Mile Road, east of Ryan Road. Site plan number 19-24 SLU-4. Sidwell number 23-07-20-452-008. Legal description is as follows. Planning Commission will meet on Monday, July 22nd, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Shelby Municipal Building, 52700 Van Dyke, Shelby Township, Michigan, 586-726-7243, for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the special land use application. The application for special land use and the site plan may be examined at the Planning and Zoning Department in the Municipal Building Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Written comments may be submitted to the Planning Commission at the above address prior to the hearing. Oral comments will be heard during the public hearing. This notice is provided pursuant to the requirements of Michigan Public Act 110 of 2006 as amended. Shelby Township Planning Commission, Jerome Moffitt, Chair, Raquel Moore, Secretary. This was published in the Shelby Utica News on July 3rd, 2019. There were 16 property owners and 2 applicants were notified on June 28th, 2019.
Thank you. Ms. Denowith, did the notice meet all legal requirements?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Can you explain the uses under the present zoning and if this special land use request is appropriate?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is, this area is zoned HM, heavy manufacturing, subject to Section 3.20 of the Shelby Township zoning ordinances. This is appropriate under Section 3.20.B.17, B.22, and others under Section A, subject to some of the other Shelby Township ordinance requirements regarding outdoor storage standards.
Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, did we receive any correspondence
No,
on
we
this
did
request?
not, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The format for this public hearing will be darn similar to the one we just had. The petitioner or representative will come up, state the reasons, what they're requesting, the reasons for it. The commissioners will then ask questions, then open it to the board, to the public for any comments or questions, and then bring the petitioner back up to answer those questions. At this time,
Thank you. Pete Snyder, Urban Land Consultants, 8800 23 Mile Road, Shelby Township, Michigan, representing the petitioner here tonight. Again, the parcel there is on the south side of 24 Mile Road, or excuse me, 22 Mile Road, and it is zoned HM. The applicant would like to use the existing buildings that are there. There's one residence there and then one rather old building that he'd like to convert to a shop to do repair on vehicles, trucks. And in order to do that, he needs to have a place to put the trucks out front. I think you can tell from the application itself, from the submittal materials, he's not particularly well-funded. He's trying to proceed in pieces. I know that he has some other ideas for the property as it moves forward. So as that may be part of the discussion, although clearly economics cannot be a basis for your decision, as was pointed out before. Just give you some of the setting, some of the backdrop for it. Obviously, we have a fairly long
It's a
list.
factor, it may not be the reason.
Yeah,
Okay,
and we all understand that. We all understand that. So, and clearly, we have a long list to work through with the planner and the engineer. I'm not standing in front of you saying, please vote tonight. I understand we're going to be tabled here to address some things. But in discussions this afternoon with your planner, it was felt, hey, we had a public hearing published, so let's proceed with the public hearing, hear the comments, take your comments, synthesize it all, and bring back a plan, perhaps, that is better in line with everyone's wishes and can be approved.
Great.
Okay? So with that, I'm certainly available for any questions. Again, if they pertain directly to things that you see on the review already, know that I'm already, those will be working through those with your planner and with the engineer. But if there's other things on the plan that I should be aware of from your perspective, certainly all yours. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. To the board, any questions? Mr. Boutros.
Did you say the existing house will be used, the
Yes.
residential?
Yes, the idea is for the existing residence to be occupied for the caretaker, sort of a caretaker's residence on the premises. With the outside storage there, caretakers and sort of people that watch things at night is not particularly unusual. And the applicant has said that that's what he would like to he'd like to do with this residence.
So they'll be living in that house.
That's correct.
Do we allow mixed use on one parcel to have a residential and a repair shop?
That would be allowable. Certainly, storage areas do allow that. However, I know that that parcel received Class A non-conforming use a while back. So that would certainly be fine as long as building department doesn't have any issues with the home being occupied.
Okay, and then the repair shop, it's in very poor condition, so is he planning on fixing the shop now, or?
He says he's going to fix the building up and it will work for his uses. I've not been in it. Apparently, the building department has, and they're not particularly impressed.
Okay.
But it is what
Well,
he says he
driving
wants
by
to
it,
do.
you'll see it's,
So this is in the long list of things that need to kind of get resolved.
I think so, yeah.
okay.
I think he really needs to determine what he might need to spend in order to occupy that building versus a new building on the site.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Anyone
Chairman.
else? Mr. Turner?
Mr. Snyder, have you seen the aerial view of that property?
The overall area view?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is stored in the back? Are those drums of some sort, stored way in the back, hidden from view?
Planning just told me that's an old aerial photo, that it was Porta-Johns, and they're gone.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. That answers
I
the
asked the
question.
same question.
Okay, thank you, we're all set.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I had a question on the possible runoff from that property into the Clinton River back there. The
Yes.
elevation, you're quite high, but also you're going to have to fill in.
Yeah, the engineer made a note that it was greater than an acre that we're disturbing. I'm not convinced that it is. I'll check and make sure. If it is greater than an acre, then we have to fall under the new Macomb County guidelines for storm water, which means pretreatment and detention. So I'll check on that, but I thought that it was under. You're just looking at, this that I've drawn, you can't see the break lines from here, but what you're looking at is just the tiny little, I doubt that's an acre and a half of property that you're looking at. It's the part that's right up on 22 Mile Road.
I'm just concerned about the trucks, if we're going to start working on trucks, possible spills, contamination, hazardous material, that type of thing, and getting in the Clinton River. And do we know if there's any in-ground tanks there now?
I'm aware of, no.
Pardon?
Not that we were aware of.
Okay.
I do have one more question, I just
Mr.
remembered.
Boutros?
Are you applying for NPDES permit, since it's a repair shop? Discharging, like if the oil goes into the storm system?
Yeah, I think that they will be required in NPDES.
Yes.
That wouldn't be something that I would do them, because it's not the NPDES as part of site construction that I do, but there is an industrial NPDES program that's out there.
But are
which
they aware that they need to do that?
I think so. He owns a trucking company,
You can
but I
just
will
remind
ask.
them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Excuse me, hearing none. This is the only public hearing the Planning Commission will hold on this special land use request. All remarks will be entered into the record for Township Board evaluation. We are a recommending body, and the Township Board will evaluate our recommendation, which is the legislative body. The Township Board will take the final decision on this special land use request. At this point, anyone's welcome to come ask any questions, make a comment. Name and address, and then sign in when you're done.
Jim Cable, 47169 Frederick Road, Shelby. I was going to ask you right off the beginning, you always say that this is the only public hearing. They come back with a totally different site plan. Why wouldn't there be another public hearing that we're not going to be able to see what they do or comment on that?
If it's a different request, then there would be a different public hearing. On this request,
yes.
This is the public hearing.
Oftentimes, you guys talk about saturation of projects, and this clearly falls under that category. When I was with the beautification committee, I worked hard to get welcome to Shelby signs put up around the township. I think I should have said, or had one put up that says, "You are now re-entering Warren." This area is so saturated with these type of projects that I'm gonna let you know that I did some homework. And going back to 2014, you approved a trucking repair shop in December of that year on Auburn Road. And a month later, in January of 15, you approved one on 22 Mile, a trucking company and repair shop. I'm sorry, a storage yard. Later that year, in November, you approved a truck yard on 22 Mile. June of 2016, you approved a truck yard on Auburn Road. Also in June of that year, you approved a truck yard on Ryan Road. In November or February of that year, you approved a truck yard on Ryan. July of 2016, you allowed an addition of a towing yard on Ryan Road. January of 2017, you approved a storage facility on Auburn Road. March of 2017, you approved a trucking storage on Ryan Road. May of 2017, you approved a towing yard on 22 Mile with storage of that year. 2018, you approved 3 of them. One in July on Ryan Road, a trucking repair and storage facility. One in March, a trucking storage facility on 22 Mile. And this year, you approved 2, one on Ryan Road and one on Auburn Road. That's saturation. That's a lot of trucking and towing companies or storage companies within a mile. And a mile of my house. Some of them within a block of my house. When it was approved that Amazon was coming to town, both Glenn Wynn and Supervisor Stathkis assured me, I spoke with both of them in person, that Amazon would not be a concern for trucking traffic or anything of that nature, and that certainly wasn't true. Just by what I've said, and this is all, God, within 2-3 years. My quality of life, you've heard the traffic on Ryan Road from previous issues here. The quality of life, we've got dust, dirt, mud, noise. You know, I've said this to you guys many times. I don't like to come up here and hear myself talk. I got MS. I don't go good from my brain to speaking as it is, so I don't like coming up here, but it needs to be said. The bridge over on Ryan Road by the river is crumbling. There was an accident there last year or the year before that killed somebody from a truck, a double tank or a gravel hauler. These roads are just not in the intersections. These trucks can't turn around in these intersections in these roads. They're not designed for it. Ryan and Auburn Road intersection, the crossing light, the walk, don't walk sign has been knocked over 5 times in the last 2 years from trucks making right turns. Can't do it. The other thing I've got is, we've had problems with, in the past, with some of these storage yards not complying after they're approved. One just got shut down here by the courts. I was up here complaining about it for a long time, that they were actively storing trucks before they had their site plans completed or even started, for that matter. And finally, that was on for 3 years that they operated that way. Who's responsible for doing the follow-up and the policing and that of these trucking companies that you guys allow to be here? There's another one that you just approved here. The guy came in here, I think, twice for approval on his site plan, and finally you guys approved it on Ryan Road with a whole lot of stipulations, berms and trees and all that stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you he's storing trucks right now. He's got a boatload of them in there, and he doesn't have that anywhere near being completed. So as this being my only time to talk, I know you may table this, so keep in mind all of this for when he comes back for final approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sir, do you want to comment?
My name's Tom, Tom Gilbo. I live at 50551 Gravel Ridge. I just kind of want to say what Jim's saying. I travel 23 mile to Utica Road or a lot to Auburn Road, down Ryan, pretty much every day, sometimes a few times a day. Got friends over that way. I go that way to eat a lot. Ryan Road's totally ridiculous with semis. Yesterday I followed 2 gravel trucks down here at 15 miles an hour. A couple days ago, it took me half an hour to get from Utica Road to Auburn Road, going north. Twice going north on Ryan Road between Hamlin and Auburn. Twice I had semis pull into the southbound lane to try to get me to stop so they could turn into their storage yards. My neighbor had it happen to him yesterday, and both times for me and the once for him yesterday, we had to go onto the dirt so we didn't have a head-on collision with a semi. It's totally ridiculous. There's enough truck storage yards around where Ryan's filling up with them, so now they want to start on 22 mile. It's crazy with the hills, they got to go up and down. Now they're going to start over here towards the hill by Riverbends Park on 22, they can't, they're semis. They can't go up and down the hills at the speed limit. They don't. And they slow everything down. It's ridiculous enough now. You know the ones on 22 Mile are going to end up on Ryan, going up and down by Coyote Joe's and all that stuff. I go to work, I live by Shelby Road, right off of 23. I work by the curve before DeQuinder. I'm a mile from work. When I go to work at 10 to 6 in the morning, there's line of semis going east on the 23 Mile. They're coming from here, or from Ryan. So it's already ridiculous. I'm totally against it. I'm tired of driving 20, 25 miles an hour behind semis. And now they play chicken with people. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Make sure you say it, please. To the planner for their comments.
Most of my comments have already been addressed, but I'll reiterate the most important ones to me. So on the site plan, there's no irrigation or drainage plan on this on the plan, so that would need to be indicated.
So how were your comments addressed?
To the developer, or the applicant.
Acknowledged you saying he's acknowledged privately or publicly? Why don't you state everything you've got?
Okay, so to the applicant, I would like you to identify the irrigation and drainage plan for the site. Provided lighting plan, including a photometric plan for the height and setbacks of lighting, design, shielding, and neighborhood impact for lights, as well as an impact assessment for the development and potential future traffic that the land use would cause. And there are other things that can be addressed as the site plan gets approved, such as indicating where the outdoor storage will be, except for the trucks, including a building plan for any proposed changes to the existing structures, any improvements that you want to be done to the buildings or to make them usable. And there are a few engineering comments that are important to note too, such as the existing trees on the site that are not indicated on the site plan, what the plan will be for them, and the existing septic tank for the and field for the building located on the site, as well as the future septic tank and plan need to be indicated.
Okay. Any concluding comments?
Nope. I think when he said addressed, what he meant was sent and received. I've got him.
Okay, good. But I also wanted
No,
into the
but,
record
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I understand.
That these issues are, I think, so we're going to.
Mr. Chairman?
Need to be resolved. Mr. Turner.
Couple points. Jim and Tom did raise some good issues relative to the traffic and the perceived saturation of that area. One thing we can't do is regulate through the zoning competition, but, because this came up before with drugstores in every corner and oil change facilities along Van Dyke, the Township Board made it clear we can't do that, we shouldn't do that. A couple of things I'd like you to take back to your client. I know he is not well-funded monetarily, as you said, but I'd like to see some kind of a time frame where he wants to improve those buildings, both the residential home and, most importantly, you called it a rather old building. That's being very generous politically. It's a run-down dump. It needs a lot of work, so hopefully time frame where he can fix that. And possibly to address their issues about why do we have so many truck storage facilities, maybe some kind of study to show us where the need is in that particular area, because we do have a lot. They've identified it. I'm not sure all of the truck storage facilities we have are filled to maximum capacity. I would like to see something where prove that we need another one in that area of our township. It would help out a lot.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And to be clear, we're asking for outside storage of trucks, but this isn't an outside storage truck yard. That's simply his inventory before he's repairing it inside. That's what he's asking for at this point.
Right, okay.
But I did hear you, though.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Support. Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Our recommendation, excuse me, this evening must be based on the following: compatibility with adjacent land uses, consistent with and promote the intent and purpose of the special land use, compatibility with the natural environment, consistent with the capacities of public services and facilities affected by the proposed use, to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, and the adequacy of public access to the site. At this point, we can recommend approval, disapproval, the request, or to table it to evaluate the information further. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Boutros.
I move to postpone site plan number 19-24, SLU-4, to permit the use of property at 5,022 Mile Road for a truck repair shop with outdoor truck storage, based on the applicant addressing all department and engineering comments.
Support.
It's been moved by Boutros, support by Apone. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Boutros?
Yes.
Commissioner Apone?
Yes.
Commissioner Flynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith?
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Next item is site plan number 19-25, Mark Hammy Properties. Not seeing the petitioner here, I'll entertain a motion to postpone this.
So move.
Is your support? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Planning Director's report?
We don't have anything at this time.
Seeing Mr. Dowler's not here, who wants to assume the mantle of leadership and,
Motion to adjourn.
very good.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.